Oh, what's this we have here? It's a pack of Life's Potluck Buffet cards. Maybe I'll shuffle them and see what card pops up. This is John Paulus. Thanks for listening. All right. Now we'll cut them as is customary. And let's see what card we have today. All right. It is card number 30. Use righteous anger to find your mission. Let me read it to you. It's hard to get righteously angry about something you do not care deeply about. This kind of anger is often a marker of something you need to do. Think about a situation where you were righteously indignant about something. What was going on? Consider the context, the location, the words and actions of others, and of yourself. Now consider what in this is actually a mission you are on and what you need to do about it. Can you remember the last time you were righteously angry? And there's a reason I use righteous anger. It's because unrighteous anger is a different story. So how do you know that it's righteous anger? Well, let me give you an example. Years ago, a person came to me to ask about whether they should go to graduate school to do cultural studies involving food. And I sat down with the person and we talked. And I, as I always am, was trying to figure out their motivations for what they were asking about. I'm the kind of person who's always looking for the background story because I think there's so much in that background story that helps us understand people and their work. And I think a lot of people focus too much on the superficial and not enough on the deep background. And that's a really wonderful way to find hidden talents in yourself and other people. And that's what I'm always looking for. And as time goes on, that's going to become more and more important. As time goes on, the disconnect between training and the very quickly shifting job market in all areas, and we've seen that acceleration happen where there are shortages in some areas and people can't find people, and not because unemployment is low, but because the people who want to and know how to do what they're talking about just aren't there. And this is what I really encourage people who are hiring to look for, to focus on looking for candidates with potential, even when there are situations when, you say, oh, I'm just in this desperate situation and we just need someone who can get this job done, but we can't find anybody. That's the moment when that shift to focusing on potential happens. And you need to know who has potential. You need to be able to see that in the person. So this is one of the ways to find out about people's potential. And what I mean here is to find out about those hidden talents. So let me go back to that story. I was talking to this person, and we're talking about cultural studies and graduate school, etc. And as I was finding what their interests were about, they decided to tell me a story about what was motivating them. And that is gold. When anybody tells you a story about what is motivating them, take that as the most precious piece of information that you can have about that person's work life and their motivations. But it takes a little bit of finesse to get to the point where someone's going to tell a story that will reveal these deeply seated motivations about their work to you and to themselves. And so how do you get to that point? Well, you probably already see that when you ask point blank, what are your motivations around this job or this work, that in the best case scenario, in my experience, I'm going to tell you a story that I think you want to hear about me and the work. That's how people are. People think you want to hear what you want to hear, and that's what they're going to tell you. So that's why it's more effective to figure out a full process and technique that creates a situation and a conversation where these stories arise naturally. And that's what happened with that conversation with that person that I had all those years ago. I didn't ask point blank, what are your motivations about this? And also, that's what all of the cards in Life's Potluck Buffet are built around. The idea that by asking questions that might seem tangential or on the side to tell a story, just any story, that those elicit the kinds of answers that are critical for all of our decision making. Because people are telling stories, often not realizing what it means. And if they say that story out loud, you might hear what they mean. And you might say, it sounds like what I'm hearing in that story is you saying X. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about listening for that potential. That's where it is in that story. And the story the person told to me was about a restaurant where they had worked but had quit because they saw in that restaurant that the management of that restaurant did not care at all for the customer's experience, that all they cared for, they said, was making a buck. And as a result, the service, the food, everything to do with the restaurant was an abomination for this person. I imagined him flipping over the tables in righteous indignation and throwing his apron down, storming out of the restaurant. I don't think that's what actually happened, but the way he told the story signaled to me that this motivation ran deep. I talk about this as profit motive, not Profit motive, but Prophet motive. That was a lot of spelling. And what I mean by that is that you are so overtaken by this righteous indignation when you see something going wrong, when you see people being treated badly, and you can't help but do something about it. It is as though you are speaking from the power of a higher authority. So, to go back to the story of the person who had that profit motive with the PH, to make a long story short, I suggested to this person, maybe going into the restaurant business is what you need to do. And you know what? They have gone into the restaurant business. And you know what? They are a leader in restaurant management now, all these years later. But I could tell that 2 decades ago because of the story they told about themselves and listening to that story. Look out for when people are acting like messengers of ways of doing business for the good of the people who work for the business and the people who support the business. All those groups must be treated with equal care for a business to truly thrive. So listen to when you are righteously angry and use that to lead yourself forward. And if you can't hear yourself, talk to somebody else and ask them to point out to you when they see that you're on a mission. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and head over to lifespotluck.com for more. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.